Have you ever wondered what would happen if someone brewed a beer with over 36% acid malt? Well, I don't know, but let's find out. I'm Dr. and this is Dr. Brewery. Today we're gonna brew a sour beer with just acidulated malt. And to start off with, before everyone goes crazy in the comment section, this is not the correct way to brew a sour beer. This is an experiment, and I do this crazy experiment so you don't have to. So hit that subscribe button and a thumbs up. So we're gonna try to brew a sour pineapple IPA with over 36% of acidulated malt, acid malt. I'm gonna also tell you what acid malt is if you don't know. In this beer I used 2 kilos of acid malt in a normal 23 liter 5 gallon home brewing batch. That's about 4.4 pounds. I normally use like 1 to 300 grams. 300 grams, that's like just under 10 ounces. Acid malt is used to correct the pH of the mash if you don't want to use like lactic acid, for example. If you're brewing to the German purity laws, the Reinheitsgebot, which says that you can't add anything. So they are like cheating with the acid malt, but it is just malt that have been acidified by lactobacillus bacteria, which are a natural thing that lives on malt. Yeah, sorry. So we're gonna start this off with the brewing video, and then we come back and taste the beer, and also we can run through the recipe. Meanwhile, I get a pour beer. You can have a look at the brew day. So this brew day gonna start quite similar to all of my brew days. It's important to mix your grains before you mill them. There's a lot of wheat in here. So it's not much malt today to start with. There's gonna be some experiments. As usual, here we have 2.5 kilos of wheat malt and 1 kilo of Munich and 200 grams of acidulated malt. We're also gonna use some rice hulls, because this is gonna be a sticky mess with so much wheat in it. Later in the mash, we're gonna add a big addition of acid malt. I wanna start it like this because I don't know how well the enzymes will work if we lower the pH value too much. So I'm gonna mash it like this first and then add the big acid malt addition. Whenever you're brewing something sticky, in this case with a lot of wheat or oats and maybe rye, you could add rice hulls or oat hulls and even hay, I guess people used back in the old days. That's a bit much, but it ain't expensive. Just mix it very, very well. It's good practice to have some at home, because if you're getting a beer that running to stuck mash, something like that, you can always add some afterwards in the mashing process. I'm gonna underlid it today. Set the temp for 63. Starting at 63. Gonna give this a gentle stir. No need to get it more oxidized than it needs to. So that's a good idea to underlit if you have the possibility. So I'm trying to avoid unnecessary oxidizing. You don't have to be anal about it, but it would be nice if you started to think about it, because much of it makes sense. You know that lovely smell of mash in the morning? That's all lost aroma and flavor. This method, it doesn't smell that much, and that means that we aren't losing so much aroma. If you're doing a no-boil beer, I'm gonna put a link down below to my no-boil with KVEIK. Were massive flavors on that beer because I didn't boil it. So this way, not much smell. I'm trying to, like you see, stir it gentle. Okay, so I'm gonna start it at 63, and then we can take a pH also after like 15-20 minutes. Okay, we're circulating. Down into the wort. Just took a mash sample. Everything is going well. We have been circulating for like maybe 20 minutes. So everything goes fine. No stuck mash, but we did add a lot of rice hulls in this. So I'm gonna cool this down. If you ever thought about if it matters, because I draw this sample from the pump, which means that that's collected from outside of the grain pipe. If it matters, if I take sample that way, going outside, or from inside of the grain. I have a video on that also, so you can check out that. After this video, put a link down below. Also an article on the website. Okay, samples cool down. 5.3 at 21 degrees. I'm fine with that. We have been mashing now for about 45 minutes and it goes well. So I think I'm ready to add the acid malt. So we're gonna go and crush them. Okay, time to measure up the acid malt. Syra malt in Swedish. Syra means acid and malt means malt. 3 Swedish lesson there. I had to buy a lot of small bags because I didn't have any big bags. Have you ever tried something like this? So we need some more. Not much, because we already added 200 grams and I was thinking 2 kilos. That means 2,000 grams. So now we need 1,800 and we're there. Okay, so that's a total of 2 kilos. Should we taste the acid malt? I've done it before, but I will do it on camera. To me, it almost reminds me a little bit of raspberry, dried raspberry. So not as sweet as regular malt. I guess the acidity balanced that out. Let's get crushed. If you're gonna learn as much as possible from this, we're gonna need to get some figures. So I took a sample now, and now this has been going for almost an hour. And it looks clear. The pH is 5.2. You can also double check this after an hour, of course. Would be interesting. And then we're gonna add the acidulated malt and mash that for some time. It depends. I'm doing other stuff here also, so it kind of depends. After that, we're gonna draw samples. We can see how much sugar we got from the acidulated malt compared with this one. And of course check the pH before the boil and before the sparging and everything. But we will, yeah, get some numbers. Gentle stirring, but we need to stir it, but we don't have to splash it. Much more smell now when we're adding the grains this way and dough balls. It smells different, but it smells kind of nice. I'm very interested in the pH of this. I already added all of the water for this edition, and this didn't even cross my mind. This will of course take the temperature down a little bit. We're aiming for 63. but as this is a heat control system, it will come back up again. And I'm mashing quite low because I do want a dry beer, this one. So the SG reading before the acid malt, 1052. Okay, sparge water up to 10. This has a pH of 6. I'm just going to raise the grain pipe up little by little, so we're always under the wort line, so we don't have any splashing. Gonna keep, I haven't started sparging yet. Gonna keep like a couple of centimeters, like an inch, with sparge water on top of the grain bed. pH 4.4, so it ain't super low. 4.4. This was 5.2. This is 4.4. Of course, we could adjust it with lactic acid, but that kind of ruins the whole experiment, I think. So maybe not. 4.4, and this is before sparging, so the pH will get up a little bit. The sparge water is 6, pH of 6, so I usually do. So I could lower that, but it feels like cheating a bit using lactic acid in this acidulated malt sour IPA, pineapple IPA, even. Of course, the pH will also drop during fermentation, and we will have some boil off. But yeah, so maybe also take a sample after the sparge. So after the addition of the acidulated malt and letting that go for a very long time, because I'm doing other stuff also. 1070. So that's quite a lot of sugars there. Should we also try them? The samples. It's always good practice to try everything. So quite a difference in color. And this has more flavor, more aroma, sorry, okay. Sweet, just sweet like cookies. And this one, now this is different. Because you do get the tartness, but it's not very tart. If I'm doing this again, I will add a ton more. And I thought I added a lot, 2 kilos. Maybe beer with only acid malt. It seems to be able to mash. So, yeah, I don't know. Comment down below. This is not going well. Stuck sparge. I tried to poke gently, so I need to fill up a little bit more water, and actually need to stir up the mash. So we're gonna get a murky wort. Okay, so now it's actually moving again. I don't know if acid malt is a little sticky, because we did have quite good amount of rice hulls in there, and we had no problems with the mash before with all of that wheat, but in the end we got a stuck mash. So, but yeah, have to keep pushing forward with brew day as always. So here's a sample from the starter. Can't sense anything off with it. It's a WP644. I thought that should be a good yeast for the sour pineapple IPA. I have changed my hop stand a bit, pushed up the temperature there, so I'm going to try to get some more IBUs out. I was aiming for very low IBU, but it doesn't seem that we are getting so much bitterness, so I'm aiming for like 15 IBUs. Something like that instead for like 5 that are planned first. Because that ain't cheating. Hopefully 15 IBUs and the lower pH will balance out the sweetness. Removing some of the ugly foam. Yes, I'm a skimmer and proud. We're almost up to a boil now. I'm gonna lower the element also. Don't need to be pushing 2500 watts because we don't need a rigorous boil. Slow simmer is even better. Don't boil your beers. It's crazy. The wort are much darker than I would have suspected. So the acid malt gave a lot of color. Everything is in, it's time for flame out. And in the last minute I remember to add some Protafloc, don't know how much it will do, and some yeast nutrient. So we're gonna start taking down the temperature now for the Whirlpool hop additions. Okay, we're down to around 82 C. So you see the Whirlpool device works like a charm. Stand still here in the middle. That will collect everything in a cone. Chilling works much faster, better utilization from the hops. Everything is good. So easy device, go and build it. This is 25 grams of Citra, 25 grams of lemon drop, 25 grams of Asaka going in. Whoop. So we're gonna Whirlpool this for 20 minutes and then we're gonna cool it down to pitching temp, quite high pitching temp, because I want to get some esters out of the yeast and of course ferment fast. Okay, 1 minute to go. So we have been Whirlpooling for 90 minutes with the hops. I also found this pineapple juice. This is only pineapple juice. Nothing else is pasteurized. It hasn't got anything else but pineapple juice in it. And it's not from concentrate. So, got two of this. And one of this is 2.5 kilos of pineapples. So this is like 5 kilos of pineapples. So that's going in also, as soon as we start to chill again. The bell goes, flame out, start the water. Smells like pineapple. I'm gonna draw a sample also, taste it. It's that real pineapple smell. And wait for it. Yeah, it tastes like pineapples and not canned pineapples. So one going in. Without splashing too much. Oh, did you see that? It was thicker down in the bottom. It was actually a small hiss there. That's interesting. But as we're adding these, we should still be at pasteurizing temperatures. You see, we are over 69. So this will get pasteurized once again. Because there were small hiss on this one. Not on the first one. That's interesting. Okay, so 67. And the Whirlpool really helps with speeding up the cooling. Okay, we're at 28 degrees now. I want it at 28. No, it's even colder. So don't wait to add your yeast. So you can even add your yeast before. Like I do. This is not quite, so we don't have to screen. Okay, so shut off the pump. Okay, pump is off. What I'm gonna do is this way. Woo. That worked. Spilled some here. Wipe that off. It's gonna be interesting to see the pH of this. And of course it's gonna drop even further during fermentation. But I don't think it will be that low. Pre-boil was 1046-ish. pH of the pre-boil was 4.6. Gonna be interesting to see what we have on the boiled wort. Giving it a 1 minute blast with oxygen, the oxygen stone in there. So I got a little more wort than I need in this one. It's not much headspace left. I have like 26.5, 27 liters. So I thought I'm gonna use this one in a creative way. If I would have prepared for this, I could have planned it better, but I'm gonna use this 5-liter mini keg as a fermenter. This was sent to me by BEERQUIP, so I'm gonna put links to them, and also that head. So now we can do something stupid with the small keg. So let's say 23 liters in the big. We are there. Okay. We could have fermented this under pressure, but I didn't prepare anything for that, so we ain't gonna do that. Instead, I'm gonna make just a blow off, putting it on there, down to a bottle. That will work. Okay, so it's time to take the final measurements on brew day. The pH is 4.3, so not super low. 4.3. But the pH will drop more under fermentation. And this is included the pineapple juice, of course. 1051. So let's taste this, of course. So 1051, write that down. It's interesting. It's very fruity, and it has acidity, but it's not tart. It's not much bitterness at all, but some acidity balancing the sweetness. This might be a nice beer. I do get the pineapple also. Okay, here's the beer. Nice. In the upper chamber. I have a whole video on, not only on this, but on my brew shed, so you can go and check that out. Explain this homemade fermenting chamber. So, okay, there's the mini keg, and of course, as I said, I will put link down below to Niklas BEERQUIP. You can find this stuff, and goes down into the pet bottle with Sunny Clean. Yes, so we're heating up, but this is chamber temperature, 23 degrees now. I want 28 in here. Maybe need to add another heating element. Let's have a check in here. See, going. This is next morning. This were going last night actually, but didn't see any krausen. Now we have krausen. Nice. And the temp in here is very hot now. It's like 29C, 28.8 actually. But the little one shows no sign of fermentation yet. Some yeast should have followed into that also, but we're gonna wait and see what happens. Okay guys, here we have the beer. It's a little bit darker than I would have wanted it. I think the acidulated malt brought much more color than I ever thought it would. We have a two-finger white head. We have a hazy beer. I would have wanted it a bit brighter. This doesn't make me think of pineapple. And as you saw in the brewing video, this didn't get as sour as I would have hoped for. This was an experiment. I was confused, so I had to change up my recipe because you're balancing the sweetness of the malt with bitterness from hops. And I was aiming for like 5 IBUs only for this beer. And but when my pH didn't drop like I thought it would, I raised up the IBUs to 15 instead. The bitterness ain't the only thing that can balance a beer. It's also the tartness, the pH of the beer. So I had to wing it there on brew day. Let's see how it worked. Let's give it a nose. Yeah, you do get some pineapple. Something else. Get malt also on the nose. Okay, let's dive in. Cheers, guys. It is quite balanced. This ended up 10-17, so it didn't ferment out as low as I thought it would. Because WLP 644 is a quite hungry yeast. It is an interesting beer. It isn't tart at all, but it ain't sweet, it ain't bitter, and it ain't tart. It's just balanced. And that balance is between the pH and the bitterness and the malt sweetness, of course. The pH of this beer ended up 4.7. Just took a reading of it now, because I forgot. I wanted it much lower, so I'm disappointed, but I ended up with a good beer. This ain't my first glass. I have been sampling this for a while. My first taste of it, it was screaming of pineapple, but it wasn't that like fresh pineapple. And it was more like a ripe pineapple taste to it. And of course, if you add pineapple juice to your fermenter before fermentation, the yeast will consume that, it will kick in a fermentation, and of course it will taste like ripe pineapple. What did I think? So if I wanted like a fresh pineapple taste, I should have added it really at kegging. But yet again, then we could start a secondary fermentation. So if I killed off the yeast and added it that way, or kept it really, really cold, because if it's in the keg, it's not really a problem, so you could do that. I used all hops I found at my local homebrewer store that said it had pineapple in it. And WLP 644 can also throw some pineapple notes, and of course the pineapple. So we got a pineapple, but it's not so sour that I wanted it. It would be interesting to brew a beer with 100% acid malt. I don't know if I'm up for it right now, because yeah, I like these stupid ideas of experiments, but maybe not all the time, but maybe someone else will do it instead. Or of course I have to do it because my job to do this crazy experiments, so you don't have to. So yeah, don't forget to subscribe, like and share and all of that, and hit the bell and everything like that. So I think it is a success, because if I do something really, really stupid and end up with a good beer, it's refreshing, and actually I think it ended up like 4.5% maybe. So it's a good sessionable summer beer. Let's run through the recipe. And yeah, of course, speaking of recipes, the recipe is already up on my Patreon site in the DrHans recipe book. Of course, now runs through my website. And speaking of the website, if you haven't already, check out my website, drhansbrewery.com. Sign up for my mailing list and you get my ebook for free with 3 cool recipes for you to try to brew at home. And yes, also speaking of patrons, roll the Patreon list. Don't peek at my pin code. Okay, let's go through the recipe. And this recipe was made in Brewfather. Do check that out. I've been playing around with it and I really enjoy it. I still have to learn it, of course, but I come from Beersmith and I don't know every button in there also, but yeah, do check it out. I really like it. Acid malt pineapple uses sour IPA. That's a lot of words to start with. And I'm gonna give you this in kilos and grams and also in percentage if you want to try to brew this yourself. Percentage is always the best way to share a recipe. You just add your own efficiency. My normal efficiency is 78%, but this was like a sticky beer, so I normally then go for 72% of efficiency. The original gravity was 1051 and the final gravity was 1017. I used 2.5 kilos of wheat malt, that's 45.5%. I used 2 kilos of acidulated malt, that's 36.4%. But I used 200 grams first to correct the pH and I ended up at the 5.2%. No, sorry, 5.2 pH. I ended up with a pH of 5.2, yeah. And I mashed that for a while and then I added 1.8 kilos of acidulated malt more. And I also used 1 kilo of Munich and that was stupid. I should have just used Pilsner malt because it was way too dark from the Munich and the acidulated malt. But it might be that the Munich was the malt to blame here, really. Because 1 kilo of Munich will make your beer much darker. For hops, I just did a hop stand. 20 minutes at 82%. I used 25 grams of Asaka, 25 grams of Citra, 25 grams of lemon drop, and according to Brewfather, the Asaka addition should make 6 IBUs and the Citra 6 IBUs and the lemon drop 3 IBUs, so 15 IBUs. This was also dry hopped with 50 grams of Asaka, 50 grams of Citra and 50 grams of lemon drop for like 3 days. And this was fermented with WLP 644 and I fermented it hot. Started at like 28 degrees and then bumped it up during the way, and this was fermented out very, very quickly. Yeah, also, so what happened to that little bastard, that little keg, mini keg? It didn't take off. I realize now that I forgot about it. Yeah, it's still in the fermentation chamber. So, the idea is okay, but maybe it was leaked somewhere. I don't think so. I have to check that. Sorry, I forgot it. Can't think of everything. I have been up to a lot of things this summer. Question of the day, how much acid malt have you used in a beer? Have you ever done something like this? Please comment down below. So I guess that's it. Cheers and thanks for watching. DrHans out.